Welcome to Insights into Success, where with your host Paul Dodds, we hope to educate, inspire and motivate you to achieve your own personal success. We talk to guests from all around the world from a variety of walks of life to hear the realities of their own journey to success. What challenges have they faced? How have they coped with failure? And what have been the keys or will be the keys to their own success? In our Read to Succeed interviews, we talk books that have inspired our guests, and for some, they share their secrets to marketing success. Join us as we give you insights into success. Today we're talking marketing with a person who's achieved incredible results on social media, Iyia. All right, well, thank you very much for agreeing to join us on this podcast about insights into marketing success. Now, I want to start off by talking about the fact that when you were 21, you founded a shapewear company, Waist Trainer, with $5,000 in savings, as I've been told, and you sold over 100,000 units in 18 months to 90 plus countries, and included working with Kylie Jenner. Now, the big question is, tell us a bit more about how did you manage to get Kylie on board? Can you just talk us through your journey with the product from identifying the product and getting to the point where you were able to reach out to her and get her involved?
So the first time I saw the product, I saw it on Instagram. I was just scrolling and it kind of caught my eye. I saw a girl, I don't even know where she was from, it was just like on the Explore page, and she was wearing this product called Waist Trainer, I think it was called a Waist Trainer, and I bought one for myself, and then I thought maybe other people would like the product too. So I had a look online for suppliers. I found some, ordered a few units. They weren't custom or anything, so the minimum order was quite low.
Yeah.
I set up my own website, just Googled my way through, set up an Instagram account. It's all pretty low cost setups. Yeah. When the stock arrived, I thought if I had purchased this product from somebody just on Instagram, seeing it that way, maybe other people will also shop this way.
Yeah.
And that was back when influencer marketing wasn't a thing. Like, you were just seeing products on people on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a term for it back then. So we started off by gifting units of product. The product cost wasn't overly high, so the cost to me was, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And we found that people were buying this way, so we just scaled up more and more and more. Started sending out 50 units, 100 units, and then...
So can I just ask this, so when you were sharing them out like that, were you then asking them, saying, look, can you then go onto Instagram and share it with your people and promote it for us? Was that part of the deal?
Yeah. So it was a value exchange, like, oh, hey, you're going to get this valued at X, and in exchange we would like you to, just take a photo of it and share it with your audience.
Yeah.
And I guess the product it wasn't trending so much yet. It was trending in the US, but no one was really doing it in NZAU.
And at that time, aside from yourself, did you have other people working for you or working with you, or was it just pretty much you at that stage?
It was just me to start.
Right.
Yeah. So I was doing everything, like dispatching, website, customer service. Yeah, I was doing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we got to the point where we started paying people like $50, $100, $1,000, $5,000 for one Instagram post or one Facebook post. And then it was working so well in conjunction with Facebook ads.
Yeah.
We thought, why not try and do this on a bigger scale? Like, what is the biggest scale that we can think of? And at that point, I had a few staff members. So I tried to reach out to the Kardashians, Kris Jenner, the momager, for several months, I remember, and I didn't get any response. But because of all the influencer marketing activity that we were doing, we actually had a celebrity talent agent reach out to us, and they gave us the celebrity sheet of all their celebrities, all their rates,
right,
and said, pick one. Who do you want to work with? And we went with Kylie Jenner, just because she was my favorite at the time, and also she had that curvy body that I thought was aligned well with waist trainer and shapewear. Yeah. We basically signed a contract, paid the fee, and they sent back a couple of images for us to approve. It was approved and it went live.
And then it just took off even further.
Yeah, I mean, we were already doing a lot. already doing pretty good volumes.
Yeah.
And because it's e-commerce, it was pretty easy to scale globally. And we were using DHL as well, like to freight it. So to get a shipment from New Zealand to the US was really fast, and it wasn't too expensive because the product was thin and light. So yeah, we had a really good business model.
So that was going to be a question. So you weren't doing drop shipping, so you were actually importing the product here, and then you were sending it out around the world.
Well, I'd looked into drop shipping, and I'm sure drop shipping's come a lot way since 2015, but I was reading up on it, and back then there were a lot of items going missing, potentially a lack of control between the manufacturer and the end user, or them seeing like you've just shipped it from the manufacturer, which might not look good from a branding perspective.
Yeah.
So we would just bring them all into us, and we would package them, put our branding on it, and then dispatch it again. Again, the product was very compact and light. So the freight cost wasn't that high. Like if you had a bigger product or heavier product, it probably wouldn't be as feasible.
Right. So you touched on it, branding. So for you, how important is branding?
Branding is everything. You could be selling the same product as the person next door, but if you've got great branding, great marketing, and your product is more expensive, people are still they're still going to pick from you versus the other product that's unbranded, just because the perceived value is higher, and people, they want to be a part of whatever you're selling. So.
And so your view on branding, was that something you held when you started out, or was that something you learned through experience with running businesses?
I actually don't know. I always think of me as a consumer. Like, how do I shop? And what things intrigue me and what's important to me. And even whether they're subconscious or they're conscious, I often buy things, but and then if I think back, I'm like, why did I buy this? It was really expensive, and it's not that much different to an unbranded one, but I want the branded one.
Yeah.
That costs more.
Yeah, it's the power of a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a great example, you just look at, like Nike and Coca-Cola and companies like that. I mean, what they've achieved with their brand. That's incredible.
Totally, yeah.
So for you, what are some of the lessons that you learnt with your marketing during the process of that business?
Well, for Waist Trainer, we focus really heavily on influencer marketing, but combined with Facebook ads. And back then, I also dabbled a little bit in Google ads, but we didn't heavily focus on that. So our main combination was influencers with Facebook ads, and they were actually pretty reasonably easy to scale. You could just turn up the Facebook ad spend, and as well as internationally, like you could just send out product to influencers in the US and start hitting the US market.
Yeah.
And I've actually used that combination of marketing for all of my businesses in conjunction with other things like a little bit of radio, a little bit of a trade show or something. It's important to also do those non-digital or other things as well.
And to what extent has it become more difficult to do that? Because you were back in 2015 and the market's a lot more crowded since then. So how has that changed? How has it got more difficult? Or has it got more difficult?
It's definitely gotten more difficult, a lot more crowded, and I guess businesses that were traditionally doing a lot of traditional marketing, they have all shifted their marketing budgets to digital. So the big brands with big budgets are coming on and competing with smaller brands. I also have a digital marketing agency where we actually do influencer marketing for our clients, and actually that kind of drives up the prices for influencers. We sometimes are contacting the same influencer for different brands, and they're putting up their prices thinking they've got so much work, and it's like, it's actually just us. So, I mean, I guess it's bad for us, for businesses using influencer marketing in a way, but it's inevitable. That's just where businesses are heading to advertise.
Yeah, well, that brings me to the next question. Like, what are some of the changes that you've witnessed in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, particularly with social media and other forms of marketing that you have participated in? What sort of changes have you witnessed?
The main shift, the biggest shift would just be from traditional marketing, like print and PR, to digital and influencers. Like even PR companies now, they have a very influence-focused, marketing strategy, which when they never used to. And I think the main shifts are mostly the platforms. Like 2015, Facebook. Everyone was on Facebook. Businesses advertising on Facebook. Everyone was using Facebook. And now people have shifted to Instagram. I think Instagram is probably one of the most heavily used platforms. And now actually in 2022, it's TikTok.
Yeah.
So I've heard recently that TikTok has surpassed YouTube with, the amount of time people spend viewing, which is super interesting. Like there's a shift of platforms.
And for you, have you been doing much on TikTok?
We are trying to. Like, we have some younger girls on our team that they spend a lot more time on TikTok, and it comes very naturally to them.
Yeah.
And now that Instagram has brought on the Reels feature to, I guess, combat TikTok or compete with TikTok, we are getting all of our influencers to make Reels and TikToks, but those two forms of content, I guess, as the main.
Right. And what about YouTube? Do you do much with YouTube?
We do some YouTube influencer marketing. I haven't run any YouTube ads yet. I don't know. It's pretty hard. YouTubers want a lot of money. I guess it's maybe hard to edit. It takes time consuming to edit, but their fees are way higher for YouTube than Instagram or TikTok.
Right. Okay. So what has been your biggest marketing failure?
I guess my biggest marketing failure was probably with Celebration Box. This was a gift box company. We had launched it with two of us, me and my business partner, and we were sending out, just because I knew that this was a method that works, we were sending out so many influencer packages, like hundreds and hundreds every week, to the point that we were getting in so many sales from doing that, to the point that we couldn't actually handle the demand, and we couldn't even fulfill all the orders. So in that sense, I'm like, maybe we marketed too much and too well, but we couldn't keep up with the operations side of things.
And those influencers, were they all New Zealand based, or were they international as well?
For Celebration Box, it was all New Zealand, and because the product was very Instagrammable, like it was a gift box with chocolate and lollies and had a cute note in it, like personalised note, we were sending them out to football stars, rugby players, people on TV, anyone. And people were just taking them because they looked cool, and they would just do a story. They didn't actually even have to post on their feed. So it was super easy for them, very minimal commitment. They just have to, they didn't even have to post on their story. We kind of just said, like, if you love it, post on your story.
So you didn't have an arrangement with them, you just sent it out to them and said, hey, we want to give you this, if you wouldn't mind, can you go and do a post for us?
It was more like, if you like it, we would love to see it on your story, but no obligation.
Right.
So then we actually even got pulled up with Commerce Commission saying that we were, false advertising, or, getting people to promote these products when they, just getting people to promote them, and we actually were just sending them out with, no obligation.
Yeah.
So we just had to combat that. But,
right.
Yeah.
You got through that.
Yeah.
So from a marketing point of view, how do you deal with bad publicity, and can you turn it from a negative into a positive?
It is hard dealing with bad publicity. Can you turn it from... I don't know if you can turn it from a negative to a positive, but in my experience, the bad publicity has been a silver lining for me personally. Like, I would not have landed my TV series if it were not for the bad publicity.
Really?
Yeah,
wow. I see it.
I think they just found out about me through that.
Right.
And also, I remember the journalist at the time, she emailed me and she said, "Congratulations, you are trending number 2 on Stuff, or number 1 on Stuff," for terrible reasons. But then she signed it off with, "Any publicity is good publicity."
Yeah, I was going to say about that.
And at the time, I was like, I hate you.
Yeah.
But looking back now, I'm like, actually, there was a silver lining, and it's worked out okay for me.
So when you're getting this bad publicity, what was your thought process? Did you think, right, well, okay, we're just going to have to front foot this, come out and, say how it is?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you kind of go down and, well, can we just try and, dampen it down and just sort of push it to the side? I mean, what was your thought process?
I tried both.
Right.
So I tried to, ignore it a little bit and hope that it would go away.
Yeah.
Just because I'd never been in that situation before, I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And then I also did try to come out and explain. And then it also backfired with people, saying like you shouldn't come up with excuses. Although it was just more of an explanation as to this happened because we scaled too quickly and we didn't have staff and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if there is a way to, respond. I guess apologizing. But again, people are not always accepting of that either. So
yeah, because my question was going to be, and we don't want it to happen again, but if you had something like that happen again, what would you do differently?
If that happened again, I would be faster with my response. I wouldn't push it aside and hope that it goes away.
Yeah.
And I would just be more, just be more apologetic straight away, and accepting more responsibility straight away.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, lesson learned.
Yes.
So, you've established about 7 successful businesses in different industries. To what extent has your marketing approach for them all been similar, and to what extent has it varied?
For all of my businesses, they've been very heavily focused on influencer marketing and Facebook ads. We are now also doing Google ads, so I do believe Google is also very important. So I'm a big believer in digital marketing. Like, obviously my business is also e-commerce, it's online, so I'm very into digital. But I think it's also important to have a physical presence. Like, we do events where we invite media and influencers or guests. We've done trade shows. We've tried radio. And I know Celebration Box does a lot of radio now. So I'd say you just have to do trial and error. There's not really a right or wrong way.
Yeah. And so with your marketing, is it fair to say that you can nothing's a dead certainty, and that you've got to do trial and error, because sometimes things that you think won't work will and things that you think will work won't? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Even with some of our clients that come to us, and we even have to tell them, like, even though we do this every day for all of our clients, it's still trial and error, because your business is different to this other business. Things
change as well.
Things change, yeah. Yeah, it's always different.
Yeah. And to what extent, you've talked about Google AdWords. To what extent do you use those now? Like, you've got Google Search Ads, you've got Google Display Ads. Do you use both, or where's your emphasis in terms of Google?
For Google, I think shopping is good. Like, again, as a consumer, I'm always thinking, like, how do I shop? Yeah. I use Google Shopping a lot, and I do comparisons, like, based on the reviews and the price, of course. We don't really do display marketing so much. I think that's really important for branding. Yeah. But I guess if you are on a tight budget, maybe the AdWords and shopping would be a better place to put your money.
Yeah. So what would you describe as being the key ingredients for successfully marketing your business?
Number one is branding. Making sure that all of your branding is, it's someone's going to see value in your product. Making sure your pricing is in line with your branding and also competitive with competitors. Looking at your sales funnel as a whole. It's you can't just say, like, oh, just do influencer marketing, just do Facebook ads. You have to look at every touch point of, where the customer is, and just trying to pinpoint, like, where are we losing them and why? Is our conversion rate kind of low? And if it is, build up your trust. And how can I do that? With reviews, with user-generated content. So I guess just pinpointing all of the potential pitfalls and finding solutions for them.
So the thing I want to talk to you there about, and it's an issue that I see out there, and that is, from what you've said, you see that your branding's been a key determinative value of your business. Would that be right?
Yes.
So the question, for you is, I see a lot of small businesses that are really reluctant to spend money on their marketing. And often their accountants are very quick to say, you need to save some money, don't spend it on your marketing. What would be your response to that?
You could have the best product in the world, but if no one can find it, you're not going to sell any of it, no matter how good it is. So marketing is the number one thing to put your money in, especially when you're starting out. Like, you might even be making a negative return that first X amount of period to get your name out there, to get people to trust you. And people are reluctant to put money into it. We send out so much product to people to review. to build up our user-generated content so that in future our conversion costs will decrease.
Yeah.
It's a big upfront investment, but in the future, it's worth it in the long run.
And you just said a magical word there. You refer to it as investment.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's often the challenge is a lot of people, a lot of small business owners, they see their marketing as an expense.
Mm-hmm.
My argument is if it's done well,
Mm-hmm.
you can turn it into an investment. And I'm gathering that you probably agree with that.
I think it's absolutely an investment. We spend a lot of money on brand building, not direct sales, like literally just to make people aware that we exist and that we are good and that they should choose us. And maybe one day when they are looking for the product, that they, that will be front of mind, or at least that they're like, okay, I've seen them before, I trust them. So yeah, it's definitely a big investment, but at the beginning, in the long run, it's not.
From your point of view, tell me how you define branding, because a lot of people misunderstand what branding actually is. So tell me your perspective of what branding means.
Branding is the product offering as a whole. So it's your product, it's your packaging, it is your customer service, it's what type of people use your products. It's really like when people are looking at your brand, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's beyond just the packaging. So
because a lot of people mistake it as just being the logo. They think, this branding is I'll get a nice logo done, and that's my branding done. But it's far more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the vibe, if that's the word to describe it.
Well, I think it is, because it's as small as how the phone is answered,
Mm-hmm.
the person that picks up the phone, how they talk to you.
Yeah.
That helps to form or undermine the brand.
Mm-hmm. Even copywriting, like if it's funny, you're a funny brand.
Yeah, exactly. So, where do you see a lot of businesses go wrong with their marketing?
The number one thing that I see businesses go wrong is not looking at the bigger picture. They go, I just want Facebook ads, or I want Instagram, ads, and it's actually your website is not optimized, or you've got no photos on your website, you've got no user-generated content. People are going to bounce on from your ads, and they're going to bounce straight off. It's really just like, it's often things that they don't realize are the problem, but they also don't want to fix them.
Yeah. And, for people when they're looking at social media, there's obviously so many platforms out there. Do businesses in general need to be across them all? What's your philosophy about that?
I think you have to be across the ones that are most relevant to your business. Right now, I'm going to say that they are Instagram and TikTok. But like if you were a B2B business or like a recruitment company, for example, you probably want to be on LinkedIn. So, and like even like a builder, they probably can't use influencer marketing. Well, they might be able to. But yeah, it's just seeing what's going to work for you.
So your advice would be you don't need to be on everything, but just be on the ones that count, which relates to your target audience.
Your target audience, and also thinking about like what content you can create for that platform. Like, can you take photos? Can you post videos, BTS? And if you can't, then what's the point of having it? You need to actually make the right content for that platform too.
Yeah. One of the things I would like, if you could, is to share with us, what would be your key takeaways that you'd like to share with the audience in terms of the things that they need to think about for their marketing?
The first one is looking at the bigger picture, stepping back and looking at your sales funnel, working out the buyer's journey, and just seeing, like, trying to pinpoint, is there anything that could be off-putting? Where am I losing people? There are like heat mapping tools, or even just getting other people's perspective and opinions, like of what things would maybe help them to make that purchase. So I think that's the key. And another one would be having a plan or having a goal. We always make sure that we do a goal setting and strategy plan. And then within that, we do a main goal, we do budget, and then we'll do tasks that we're going to do to reach that goal. And then at the end of a period of time, we'll look at those tasks and we'll also put in the analytics and look at the KPIs. Like, did we reach those goals? Did we do these tasks? And did they work? Did they not work? And how can we improve and pivot for the future?
And so for you, what about people's websites? Do you What's your thoughts on that? Because from my point of view, I see a lot of websites that are very static and they don't really offer a lot, and people don't seem to really understand what they can do with their website and the importance potentially of it. What's your perspective?
Your website is part of your branding. So when somebody, a consumer, a potential customer is, researching you and trying to figure out, do they want to go with you or do they want to buy from you, they're going to go on your website, they're going to go on your social platforms, and you want to make sure everything is, presented as best as possible, because it's your portfolio.
Yeah.
So if you were a service-based business, you want to put before and after images of your work, your best work, anything that's going to convince people, why they should go with you on your website, on your portfolio. It's really super important to have a good website.
One of the things that I picked up from the comments you've made so far, which I think is incredibly important, and that is that you appear to take a lot of time to really understand the target market.
Mm-hmm.
How important do you see that as being in terms of it then being successful with your marketing?
It's very important to understand your target market. If you are too broad with your advertising, you're just going to waste a lot of money. That's the main thing, really. If you want to get the most out of your spend, your media spend, then you should be targeting people very specifically, and then also targeting them, getting them their traffic onto your website, into your store, but also you have to have the right tools to convert them, to make them make that decision.
All right. Well, to wrap up, if you've got any other sort of little bits of advice that you'd like to offer for our audience in terms of things that they need to think about, and also trends that you are seeing out there now for the future with marketing.
Obviously, things are going digital because of what is happening right now in the world. Things are going online. It's very important to have a social media presence. If you're not good at doing it, get somebody else that is good at doing it. We hire young people to do TikTok because they're better at it than I am. It's just being on social, I think.
And actually, it just does bring up another great question, and that is okay, you're a small business, you've got a limited budget.
Mm-hmm.
What should you do? Should you, you're doing whatever the business is,
mm-hmm.
should you spend more time on that and contract out the marketing to someone that's got more skills than you,
mm-hmm.
or should you just try and do it all yourself? What's your philosophy on that?
I think if you're capable of doing it yourself, do it yourself. I taught myself graphic design. I taught myself a lot of things, website building. But then when you are getting to the point where you are busy, or if you're really just not good at something, then outsource it.
Right.
I'm not a graphic designer. I will outsource that. But the things that I can do, even if they're not perfect, but they're all right, 80%, I'll do them.
Yeah. I guess the challenge, though, is what's the best use of your time?
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how busy you are. I think one of the things that can happen in small businesses is they try to cut costs. They try and do everything,
mm-hmm.
but they get to a point where it's compromising something. For instance, they're doing the marketing, which they're not so great at, and it's taken away from manufacturing whatever their product is, so they can't manufacture as much product because they're doing the marketing. So there can be a trade-off and potentially a cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely outsource things that could be, the things that you're not good at.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much. It's been really awesome for you to share your time with us and give us some of your insights into the secrets of marketing success. So thank you very much for that.
Cool, thank you for having me.
All right.